record this and go ahead and I'll tell you where you can get to the recordings if you want to after this. But so my contact information is there. I'm one of those where if you're not in class, just a quick email sometimes is appreciated, so I know you're not in a ditch somewhere. You can email me or give me a call. Office hours, I'm going to post them on my door, but basically right after this class I have a 2-hour period so for office hours, so that's a thought. So anybody in here do Twitter, have a Twitter account? Okay. No? Well, if you do or if you don't, it's free. And I mentioned my recordings, and so what I do is actually take my recordings and I push them out there as a Twitter feed. And the way you get to the Twitter feed is right here. That's EA_Snipes_PHS165. So that's you guys. Actually, if you put twitter.com on the front end of it, at any computer, you don't have to have a Twitter account. At any computer, just type, I don't think it's www even, it's just twitter.com/ and then that. And that will take you to kind of what I posted. So I post the videos, or my recordings, and then I also post like when homework's due. So I'll say like, we finished up a chapter, homework's due next time we meet. So that's also good. So and I also have I have several Twitter accounts. So I have a separate Twitter account just for general science, and that's kind of this one right here. I also have a Google Plus account, which I think kind of goes along with the whole YouTube suite of stuff. So we are going to meet about lunchtime. Oh my gosh, I know, it's rough. So if you need, I tell students, if it would help you stay awake, if you brought something to kind of munch on or drink, feel free to do that, as long as it's not like too delicious looking, right? You know. There are no prerequisites for Introduction to Meteorology. It is kind of a branch off of physics. But meteorology is a physical science, and my master's is in chemistry. And so actually there is a fair bit of intersection between kind of chemistry and meteorology. So it all works pretty good. Your textbook this semester is, doggone it, brand spanking new. So I know that West Burlington, when the professor taught it in the fall, he used this same textbook, 2016. Right, well, isn't that fall 2015? Yes. I do like this textbook. So I hope you do too. There are some more bells and whistles to this edition that I'm gonna, if I don't bring in, feel free to use them. Did you guys, if you've looked through your textbook, see those little like, the little things where like, they're the little black thingies, you can take a smartphone and hold it up to it and it will take you to like a video or something. So I like this textbook. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of a survey of meteorology. We're gonna kind of hit, all of meteorology, kind of starting with the atmosphere, talking about the water cycle, talking about clouds, and eventually get into severe weather, and then we'll talk about weather forecasting and end with kind of climate. So, so there are, we are going to cover all 16 chapters, okay? Now, chapter 16, actually, if you kind of look at where it lands, chapter 16, is in Unit 2. And the reason for that might, when I get to your projects part, might make more sense. So we have Unit 1, 3 chapters. Unit 2 is also 3 chapters, but it's 4, 5, and 16. Okay. Now, I don't give reading assignments, but if I was y'all, I would go ahead and be reading my textbook along with lecture. Okay. Then Unit 3. And Unit 4. Now, there is a 5th unit of material, but there's no 5th unit exam. Okay, so I'll talk about the 4 unit exams coming up. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Oops. All right. That's kind of how it's laid out. So to earn points in this class, you can see at the top there what it's going to be. Basically, you guys are going to submit chapter assignments. Okay, there'll be 16 chapter assignments. There will be in-class quizzes, and I kind of have a description of what those are. Basically, in-class quizzes, you come in and in 11 o'clock, and there'll be a slide up that says today's quiz is. So feel free to go ahead and take out a piece of paper and write the answer to the quiz. The in-class quizzes are meant to be wide open. You can look in your notes. I've even had students ask me what the answer is. And so that's kind of how that goes. And then there'll be 4 unit exams, and there will be actually a final exam too.
Is it comprehensive?
The final is comprehensive, yes. But I'm kind of excited how the final exam is comprehensive, but basically I kind of revisit your 4 unit exams, and I actually lift questions off of your unit exams and put on the final. So it's kind of fun. I don't know. It's the little things, but. So before class, I'll go ahead and take attendance each time. And I kind of said if you're going to be absent, feel free to kind of send me a note, or I think a lot of times students do. Let's see. All right. My hot buttons of the whole lecture thing is, where did it go? Let's see. Do not text, surf the internet, or chat with other students, or work on homework. Okay, so I guess there were 4 things. So 15 minutes is a long time. Sometimes I'm at meetings and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this how my students have to sit for 50 minutes? So I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Sometimes I actually doodle in meetings and I pay attention better than if I don't doodle. So it's a thought. So anyway, okay. So yeah, so you kind of see my hot buttons. Lecture is on PowerPoint, and let me go ahead and I don't know if we'll get to any lecture today. Some of you may have heard that through the bookstore that I actually wanted to make, for my other classes, I had my PowerPoint all ready to go for the whole semester. It didn't happen. The new text, the new edition and everything. So I'm going to print them up this semester for you guys. So this is chapter 1.
So we don't have to go buy the.
Nope, there isn't anything to buy. So, the catch is, you're going to want to be here when I hand them out. Now, if I hand them out and you're not here, you can just get them.
This was like my. Okay, I'm looking forward to this.
The other thing is, look how small these are. Oh my gosh.
I have that tomorrow.
So if you want to talk about it, if you're like Mrs. Snipes, and just kind of outside of class, say, I cannot, these are so small. I'll see what I can do. But do you see like that the second box up there? It says weather is equal to, and it has a line there at the top there. Okay. Actually, that word is going to be state. Weather is equal to a state. So that little line right there is going to say state. State of the atmosphere at any given time. So you can kind of see where there's lines here, and we'll kind of fill those in as we go. So that's kind of what my lectures are like. I took words out to make it so you would be less likely to fall asleep. My daughter hates PowerPoint, but I like PowerPoint. There's a lot of things in meteorology that's figures and, photos, and so that's kind of why I like it. Any questions about this? So I'll give you a chapter 2 and chapter 3, and that will be unit 1, okay? That's kind of how that works. All right. What else we got? Okay. This talks about the whole, among lecture and etiquette. I start pretty much when that says 11 o'clock. And every once in a while, I'll have a semester where in a given class, a student is always late. So what I found beneficial is to just, first I'll close the door, and then I'll figure out how to lock the door. That would be just terrible. But, but sometimes students are have issues with their kid or something. So if you automatically know that you're going to tend to be late because of a commitment that you have, then just say, Mrs. Snipes, nothing personal, but I'm going to have to be late on an ongoing basis. Then we can work something out. Okay. All right. So the points in this class. Did we do this? Yeah. The points in this class. All right. The next one. Okay. Chapter assignments. End of chapter assignments. Now, here's where I gotta tell you that I did not get my homework done. I really meant to have, and I'll bring it on Friday. That's chapter 1, right, that I gave you. The end of, in your textbook, most chapters have like questions. So I'm gonna assign 5 questions at the end of chapter 1. And on Friday, I will bring you what those questions will be, okay? They won't be due until we finish the chapter and lecture, so you're fine. Any questions about that? Right, cool. So end of the chapter questions and the chapter assignments. Now, there are a few things about when you go to turn in your answers to those questions. They will always be due the next time we meet. So like if we finished up chapter 1 on Monday, which we might, okay, we might finish up chapter 1 on Monday, then gosh, that's like Martin Luther King Jr. Day, isn't it? Or anyway. I don't know, Monday's a holiday some places. I think so. Yeah, because, Iowa's starting Tuesday because of that. So anyway, if you have kids, I don't know. Anyway, I get distracted. So what I was saying is that if we finish it on Monday, then those questions will be due Wednesday, okay? That's how that works. And I will post it on my Twitter feed, and that's how that will go. And on Friday, I will bring you for the whole unit what questions will be due. So that should be pretty easy. Oh, so then when you hand them in, a few things is neatness always counts, a little bit. You don't have to type them, but if you do type them, then a teacher like me is less likely to look at them really closely. So typing them is an option. The other thing is you want to make it original. And 2 ways that it isn't original is if you just like lift stuff directly from the textbook, like verbatim, and put it on, as your answers. There's a chance that I will catch it because somebody else has done the same thing. And then I don't know whether, I guess I could go back to the textbook, whether you guys copied off of each other or whether you just both looked at the textbook. So just don't do that, okay? Because then it makes it awkward, because then I have to figure out, take deducting points and give you a warning, that sort of thing. So just make it unique. Okay, in-class quizzes, already talked about that. Remember, that's where you'll come in and you're bound to get that question right. A lot of time my in-class quizzes are questions that you might see on your exams. Okay? All right. So 15% of your grade will come from this, your course project. If you want to, on your syllabus, put April 22nd, you can. Oh, really? It's your birthday? Yay. April 22nd.
It's Earth Day, too.
It is Earth Day?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I was born on Earth Day.
That's got to be a sign. And then up to a week later, I'm going to go ahead and put that April 29th. Those are both Fridays for partial credit. Some people really like this whole project thing. Some people just think, it's another thing to do. So we'll kind of see where you fall. But notice that you only have to do one. You only have to choose one. And then I go on to, at the end, say that if you want to do more than one, actually your next one will be worth, I think only said 10 extra points. Okay, so you'll get extra credit points for that next one. But those extra credit points can only go toward first if you missed a quiz, and then I'll go for missed assignments, chapter assignments, okay? So I have handouts. I like totally killed a tree. Okay?
That's okay.
Okay. Good. So we'll take just a minute, and we'll just have to see if we get to any lecture. But I have handouts for each of these. Okay, so this first one is called Weather Law. And if some of you guys, and I'll show you in a minute where it is, but if some of you guys have been on the e-companion site for this class, actually these are under Dr. Harris. So what was she talking about? I'm going to show you what I mean. So if you lose a copy of this, it's available to you. So basically what you do, you can start, well, I'm looking for a Monday through Friday, so you would start next Monday. Martin Luther King Jr. So Monday through Friday, basically kind of write down the conditions of the atmosphere. How many of you guys look at, that's one of the first things you do in the morning? Okay,
My
yeah,
phone tells
exactly.
me when it's gonna be 40 degrees colder than the next day or something.
Yeah, we were kind of complaining that meteorologists don't necessarily always get it right, and there are reasons for that. Science can only go so far. But, so when you're looking at, and we'll be talking more about how you find all this information, but if you look at the internet in the morning, kind of what is the temperature right now, or what's the temperature gonna be, if you look at kind of what the temperature is right now, for instance, that's where you could put, say it says Monday, you could put the time, and you could put the temperature right there. Now, that's only the first 4 columns, right? Notice that, and we'll kind of play around with this a little bit, looking at internet, kind of just, because each website's a little bit different. But you should be able to find another temperature called the dew point temperature. Humidity, you've probably seen that before. It's usually percent relative humidity. Barometric pressure, it usually says inches, IN, that's the barometric pressure. It's usually like 29.9 or something like that. Tendency, and actually the handout I gave you has, for each column, it has kind of information about that column. Tendency has 3 options, and tendency has to do with barometric pressure. Have you ever heard somebody say the pressure is falling? Okay. Usually if they say the barometric pressure is falling, good chance they mean that maybe we have some sort of precipitation coming in the area. So actually that's usually a down arrow, okay, or it'll say falling, okay. That's tendency. Of course, rising is another tendency. Rising generally brings clear skies, okay. And the other tendency is steady, and that's like an arrow that just kind of goes like this. Okay, so that's something you would need to record. Then, of course, 2 things about wind, the wind speed and the wind direction. Cloud cover, actually probably won't get that from the internet. You could just look out your window if you want. I'm cool with that. Now the last, or the next 2 columns, it says record high and record low. Honestly, I hadn't thought about this till just now, but if you're, serious, want to do this as your project, you could actually probably fill those in after the fact. They're kind of harder to find. So if you start your weather log and you're like, I can find everything but those 2, well, go ahead and get everything but those 2, okay? And we'll kind of play around with how do you find the record high and record low. And then the last one is precipitation. Again, you can look outside of your window if you want. So it's not too bad. It's kind of doable, okay? So that's a thought. Now, I do have the I for internet, T for television, R for radio. That's kind of a throwback. I think most people probably use the internet, but you probably don't even have to. I don't really care if you address the I, T, or R. I'm fine with that. The other thing, I guess, one time I had a student who wanted to kind of journal it, and that worked great. So if you're like, I don't want to fill this out, it's kind of irritating. Well, go ahead and you have to have this information, but go ahead and just journal it. Be creative if you want to. Another thing I just thought of this semester, one of the fun things about teaching is you think of different things. But wouldn't this be cool as like a input thing, like if you knew how to do, access or something like that, where like you student inputted it and, I don't know, it's on my list of things to do. It'd be fun. Okay, any questions?
So the IT and R, I's internet.
Yeah, internet, television, and radio, yeah. And again, I probably need to just go ahead and delete that because I really don't care where you get it from.
Okay.
So this is just one of the options?
Just one of the 4 options, yep, or 4 options, yep. Okay? All right. The next one is a photo project, and I have a handout for that one. Okay. So the photo project is where I want 10 photos of weather sort of related events. But you know what? The sun shining is a weather related event. Okay? The photo of a puddle can be a weather related event. Okay, I need 10 photos. And the thing about the photos is you'll notice I want kind of where you took the photo, generally when, and what are you trying to say? So puddles will be fun. So what I told you we're doing chapter 16 out of order, and this is kind of why we're doing chapter 16 out of order, because 16 talks about some of those cool things you can see in the sky. Have you ever seen something in the sky? Not a UFO, but you've ever seen something kind of like sparkling in the sky, and you're like, I know there's a name for that. Well, chapter 16 will kind of tell you. Okay? So 10. Now, you might be like, well, how do I relay these to you? And that, you can be creative with that. I've had people do a scrapbook, kind of, you know. I've had people do PowerPoint. I've had somebody do a movie. Okay, so I've even, in a pinch, had somebody just hold up their phone. You know, if you get really desperate, it's like, here's my 10, all right, okay, well then talk me through it, you know, so, okay?
If we already have some photos of these,
Yes.
may we use them?
Yes, if you already have photos, you definitely can. What?
I have 50.
You have 50?
I like to say.
Weather events, yeah. If you already have photos, that would be fine. Just assemble them and describe the event. And in fact, I like some of those because I get to relive I like this project, so. Okay, any questions? I used to be more of a stickler than I am, like saying, oh, you need to make sure, or does it say 2? I think I pulled that. You're right. Okay, I used to make you have like 2, like if you're gonna take a puddle, you had to take 2 pictures of the puddle and show me. So I knew that it was you didn't get off the internet. But I pulled that because I haven't seen an issue with anybody trying to pull in things off the internet and saying it's theirs. Okay?
There's going to be a copyright thing on there anyway.
Yeah, a lot of times there's copyright thing on the picture. So this is exciting. You've got 2 good ones. Okay, the next one, it's okay. The written report, not really my thing, but it's definitely an option. So I kind of asked my library friend, like, if I was going to have them do a report, like, what would I need? And so I kind of got some ideas from her. But this is the format of the report. A lot of times, if students are under the gun, say it's like April 20th, they haven't done anything, I think that's when I get some reports written, which is fun.
I got a picture.
And remember that if you do 2, then you get 10 extra credits for every.
I never wrote that early.
So there's
It was
a
a huge event for me.
Some of you guys might be familiar with a software called Turn It In. I think it's a software. So basically, any report that's submitted, I can see if it's out there for sale on the internet. Isn't that silly? Okay, any questions? And then, like, I have some suggested topics, but I know I feel like I'm dissing this whole report thing, but I have read some cool reports too. So, okay? All right, as if it couldn't get any better, there's actually one more option. Anybody in here been to a spotter training session by the National Weather Service?
But I don't know if it counts because it was at like a museum and they were teaching you how to use the weather thing, you know how people do on TV?
Well, it sounds cool. No, it probably wouldn't count for this class, but it's neat. Sounds very neat.
It looked like I was a weather person.
She says it looked like she was a weather person. So what the National Weather Service does, and I've been teaching for 13 years, so I bet I've been to probably 10 of these. And you're like, really? And some of it's very familiar to me, and it's all about severe weather. So, and the spotter training part is that the National Weather Service will tell you at these sessions that they count on telling you about severe weather, which in the Midwest, of course, you mean tornadoes, hail damage, just thunderstorms, that sort of thing. They count on people being there, eyes on and boots on the ground. So if it's optional, but at the training session, they'll give you information how if you see something, and they'll tell you what to look for, you can actually plug into their network. Okay. So the website I gave you in the syllabus actually will take you here. And this is the National Weather Service I'm most familiar with is out of the Quad Cities. So that's the one but I don't know, there might be one closer if you live closer to Quincy area. Training schedule, I don't know. Yep, there's nothing here yet. But this will be populated under the training schedule. So this is definitely, it's just one event you would go to. I think in my syllabus I say if you go to this and you want to submit it for credit, just like 100 words of what you saw. Okay. typed up. So, any questions about that? I like that too. That's all good. Too many options. Okay.
Can you do more than one?
There you go.
Mm-hmm. You can do more than one, and for each extra one you do, you'll get a pot of extra credit points that can be sprinkled only over two things. They're your assignment points and the quizzes. The assignments are worth 10 points, and the quizzes are worth 5.
So each additional one, if you did all 4, then it would add to your assignments plus the quizzes.
Right. She's asking how would the extra credit points be applied. And I usually go for quizzes first, because I think that bumps your grade up the best. If you happen to miss a quiz, and I'm shooting for 4 to 6 quizzes this semester. If you happen to miss a quiz, then half of your extra credit points can just be popped right in there. Okay. So, okay. It's like 9 minutes remaining. I better talk fast. Any questions? Okay. So unit exams, there'll be 4 unit exams. Even though there's a 5th unit of material, there won't be a unit exam over that. But you'll see questions over that 5th unit of material on your comprehensive final. And I already kind of told you your comprehensive final is mostly going to be questions lifted from your unit exams. Okay? So my unit exams, I kind of settled on this. I like this different kind of assessment. So I have 3 sections. I have a multiple choice section, and then I have a vocabulary section where I just have a blank and you have to fill in the word. And then the last section is short answer. It's very similar to my astronomy tests. Okay. And for your unit exams, you can bring a note card, a 4x6 note card. If you don't have a note card, you can just bring a piece of paper. And like my astronomy class, I will give you, before the test, I will give you kind of hints to the topics that made it on your unit exam.
So you can use your notes on not the final exam, but the quiz.
You can use, on your unit exams, you can use a note card. A note card, yeah, just like one, it's about the standard size of a note card.
So if you write really small.
Yes, if you write really small, that
And you
works
can write on
better
the
for
back,
you.
too.
You can write in the front and back, yep, yep,
I learned how to write small.
yep. Any questions? And on your final, you get a note card too. And I used to, say, it seems like you guys should get 5 note cards, but then I changed my mind. It's just 1 note card for the comprehensive final. So, I know.
Exactly.
Sometimes I do bump up the size, and I might bump up the size for the final.
Work on it.
All right. Okay. Oh, unit exams. We'll talk about the course website here in a minute. But your unit exams, back to your exams. Every teacher needs to know how they're going to handle when life happens and a student doesn't make a unit exam. And so in my syllabus, what I try to describe is that, I know. It sounds like a monkey, but it's supposed to be seagulls. I know. What I try to describe is that the way I handle missed unit exams is I don't give makeup exams, because I usually on a timely manner get back the unit exam, graded unit exam. I don't want to make up a second one and everything. So what I do if you miss an exam is basically kind of leave that blank in the grade book, and I will take the final, what you earn on the comprehensive final exam, and it will count twice. It will count as your comprehensive final, and also substitute back in for your missed unit exam. And what I try to say in my syllabus is, let's just say you took all 4 unit exams, and let's say you kicked butt on the final, okay? So what will happen is I will compare what you earned on the final, the percentage, with all 4 of your unit exams, take the lowest unit exam, and substitute back your final percent in for that low unit exam. That's kind of fun. I know. Okay. All right. Probably a lot of you are already familiar with this. Okay. If you go to SCC website, it looks something like this. And so this is something you can do at home. So I'm going to show you a website that is the companion to this course. So just logging into www.scciowa.edu, it looks like this. Now, it already knows who I am, but if you're just logging on from at home, if you go to hawknet/email, okay, it will ask you who you are. So you have to put in your credentials. Then beyond that, and it already knows who I am, it brings up kind of your, so a lot of you guys already know this, it brings up kind of like your desktop for SCC. Notice I have 276 unread messages. That's not good. Wow. I know. So anyway, it looks like I can't show you. Look, I did not bring my